What's the difference between resolution and megapixel? How does sensor size compare to film gauge? But most importantly, Jesper, why does any of your nerd crap matter, and how does this affect my film? Let me break it down for you. Resolution, or the number of megapixels, refers to the amount of detail contained in an image. The main difference between resolution and megapixel is that resolution specifies the dimensions of the image, whilst the term megapixels is mainly used among photographers to brag about how many total pixels an image contains. We've all seen those YouTube dookie posts that are recorded in 360p. They look garbage. So why is that? You see, a digital image is composed of tiny pixels that make up your screen. If you have a 4K monitor, it means that it has a pixel count of 3,110,400 pixels, or in terms I just explained, 3.11 megapixels. The less number of pixels that you can see, the lower quality the image is. To make it easier to understand, here is a standard Minecraft sword. A Minecraft item is drawn in a box of 16 by 16 pixels. If I draw the sword in a box of 32 by 32 pixels, it becomes more detailed. Now that we understand resolution, how does a camera produce a picture? To understand this, we have to go back to the future.
That was so cringe.
In 1894, Fred Ott's sneeze was recorded on 4 feet of 35mm black and white film. And just 15 years later, 35mm became the standard gauge for films around the globe. 35mm is the width of the actual film itself. Over the years, other film gauges have been invented. To fit the different film gauges, camera manufacturers made different cameras for each of them. Super 8 cameras for 8mm, Super 16 for 16mm, Super 35 for 35mm, and IMAX cameras for 70mm. The smaller ones invented to be more cost-effective, and the bigger ones to contain more detail. You might have noticed that I said detail instead of resolution. Film is analog, so there isn't an exact pixel count for it. Although it's widely accepted that 16mm is around 1080p, 35mm is around 4K, and although it's still debated, 70mm is somewhere between 12K and 18K. When filmmakers and camera manufacturers transitioned to digital cameras, big corporations like ARRI and Panavision adapted quickly to the evolving industry, advancing into digital camera territory with cinema cameras that still felt to users like they were using a film camera. In 2003, ARRI produced its first digital camera. The ARRI Flex D20 had a CCD image sensor with the width of 35mm to match a film camera. Nowadays, Super 35 CMOS image sensors are most common in prosumer cameras such as Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6Ks or FX30s. Professional cinema cameras like ARRI Alexas or Sony Venices now use full-frame sensors, which are about twice the size of a Super 35 sensor. So why does size matter? Well, it doesn't. Kind of. Let's compare the full-frame sensor of an FX3 and the Super 35 sensor of the FX30. Both can produce 4K resolution. The only reason someone would opt for a larger sensor is because the bigger your sensor is, the more light it lets in, meaning less grain. And to clarify, grain isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, film grain is often a sought-after and appreciated factor that often gives an image a more natural feeling. This is why filmmakers such as Nolan, Tarantino, and Spielberg still shoot on film. On the other hand, digital grain does not feel natural, so that's why you need to expose properly to prevent ugly, clipped shadows. A sensor can pick up high-resolution footage regardless of its sensor size. That's why your smartphone can record 4K footage, even though the sensor is the size of your pinky nail. Along with understanding the visual conceptual sciences such as lighting and composition, it is also important to know the technical limits and capabilities of your camera in order to be a good cinematographer. So in conclusion, megapixels represent the number of pixels in an image and resolution represents the dimensions. Film gauge is the width of film and the film industry standard is 35mm. The sensor in a digital camera captures the image and its size affects how much light is absorbed, influencing image quality and graininess. And finally, understanding your toolkit can be very helpful as a cinematographer. If you like my explanation, please like and drop a comment. Thanks for watching and happy filming. Peace.